You're listening to Nothing is Perfect with Janae Bostic, a community of individuals who are walking through their healing journey, a space to connect with your inner light and walk deeper in faith, fulfilling your life's purpose. Let's chat. Hello, everyone. You all are listening to Nothing is Perfect with Janae Bostic. So, welcome. This is episode number 1. How exciting. I am so excited to finally launch this podcast. It's been something that I've been thinking about doing for a while now, but my introverted tendencies kind of took over for a little bit and kind of was a little shy to share, but I was moved in my journey, my healing journey, to kind of just share my story. So this is what the podcast will be. It'll just be my testimonies about going through divorce and navigating life after divorce and how finding and rebuilding my relationship with God has really propelled me in my healing season. Now, that's not to say that this podcast will be all about saving souls, a tent revival type conversation. No, this podcast for me is like a audio journal in so many words. There is a pastor that I listen to, her morning prayer call at 8 a.m. every morning. I've listened to her. I've kind of stumbled upon her podcast or her 8 a.m. prayer calls probably a few months after my divorce was finalized. And I kind of found her during a time when I was just completely lost. I didn't know what was next. I didn't know what my next move was. I didn't know up from down. I was in a very low place, spiritually and literally. And I just needed a voice. I needed to hear and see someone that has gone through what I'm going through and see them on the other side and know that everything's going to be okay and everything is going to work out. So quite literally, she had gone through her divorce at the same time I did, at age 36, completely lost everything and had to rebuild. And fast forward just 10 years later, and she is doing amazing, has multiple businesses, has a large following, and is doing amazing and is giving her testimony to any and everybody that listens. So what she was for me, I want to be that for someone else. Having a village post-divorce is extremely important, and it's extremely hard to find, believe it or not, just in the sense that it's hard for people. It's different than like losing someone that has died. Like, people can navigate that type of grief. People, what do I want to say? They kind of have a roadmap to how to be supportive to somebody who has lost somebody, who is grieving the death of someone. But it's kind of hard to navigate that road of support for people when they're trying to support someone who has gone through a divorce, especially if you are still married, and especially if in said divorce, you were friends with them because of their union. So now that union is no more. So it's like, well, where do I fit in and how do I support them during this time? So post-divorce, you are going to lose people. You're going to lose friends. You're going to lose family. And you're going to, not only are you rebuilding your life, you are rebuilding your support system and you are rebuilding your village. Now, I say that to say, there are people who will be with you from the beginning to end. But for the most part, you will lose about a good 75-80% of what was your village when you were married to post divorce. You guaranteed you're going to come out losing a lot of people. And for me, that was really hard because these were people I spent holidays with. These were people who went over to their houses and just hung out for hours at a time and laughed and joked. And And it was just hard to finally just have a hard stop to that. And so I just kind of jumped into this, but let me backtrack a little bit and introduce myself. This is episode 1, and I'm already like going head first into this. You can already imagine what this podcast is going to be like. But for those of you, I am Janae Bostic, and this is the podcast Nothing is Perfect, where we just talk about life. We talk about our testimonies in life, and we talk about how to build a village for each other, to lean on each other because we need it. In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about everything. And from time to time, I will have guest hosts on, depending on the topics, to talk through certain things with. But for the most part, you're going to be hearing my wonderful voice, and I will engage with you all. As you listen to this podcast, I would really love for you to leave comments with your questions at whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. So, who am I? First of all, I am a child of God. I love Christ. And I will speak of his goodness to anybody that will listen. I'm a mother of 2. I am a divorced mom of 2. I'm a friend. I'm a cousin. I'm a daughter. I'm an only child, so I can't say I'm a sister. But I do have really close friends who are like my sisters. So I can imagine that sister relationship might be like, but I am an only child, so I don't have the luxury of truly knowing that sibling bond. It's important to know who I am, but it's more important to know what I'm not. I'm not trying to be anybody's bishop. I'm not trying to be anybody's pastor. I'm just being me. And as Christians, we are told to be witnesses in the world of God's goodness in our life and to share our testimony from the mountaintops. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just sharing the good news, what God has done in my life to help me get through these past almost 3 years post-divorce. Anybody, not even if you're going through a post-divorce, anything, life is hard right now. Life is hard for everybody. And navigating the daily task of this world and the daily tasks that are asked of us, even as parents, it's hard. And we are constantly juggling a lot of mental dynamics. And with those mental dynamics, we have to learn what to listen to, what to ignore, what to pray about, what to push to the side. And with this podcast, I hope to generate conversations that help you think a little bit deeper about your inner voice, make you think a little bit deeper about the way you speak over yourself, because your tongue is a powerful instrument. You speak life into yourself. You speak things into existence, whether you believe it or not. I believe in God, yes, but I also believe that we can be our own worst enemy. If you speak negative things over your life, guess what type of life you're going to lead? A negative life, because you're always looking through a lens of negativity. So whatever you seek, you will find. If you look through a lens to see the negative in every situation, if you look hard enough, you're going to find it. So I want this podcast to serve as just a space for you to have 20, 30 minutes with your own thoughts. A scary thing, I know, sitting in your own thoughts. I mean, is there anything closer to hell that anybody could think of? I couldn't, because there was a time when I couldn't even stand to hear my own thoughts. So yeah, this is just a space for you to have for yourself. As moms, we're so prone to always giving. We're giving here, we're giving there, we're doing for this person, doing for that person. And 9 times out of 10, there's never time for us. We always say, oh, I'll save time at the end of the night for myself. But if you're anything like me, if I do that, the moment I lay my head on my pillow, I am out and down for the count. Because trust me, I have been going, when I wake up in the morning, I always kind of lay there and stare at the ceiling for a little bit and kind of meditate for a couple of minutes and take a couple of deep breaths. Just because I know when my feet hit the ground, I am not going to be sitting down or laying down and resting for the next 12 plus hours probably, because I will be at work for 8. And then after I get off of work, I pick up my kids and we go to tutoring, or we go to gymnastics, or we go to baseball, or we go to basketball. There's always something to do after school and after work. So, and then when we get home from whatever activity that is, I'm cooking dinner, I'm going back over homework that maybe didn't get done, or going over a test that you did and you didn't score as well, so we need to go through. And my alarm goes off at 5:30 a.m. And that day is a lot like other moms in this world, in this country. So we live the same life where we're constantly running, constantly going. And I eventually said, no, something has got to give. I've got to do something for myself, because I can't keep giving from an empty cup, because what am I giving? I can't keep giving half of myself to all of these things and never giving my all to one thing. So on my journey post-divorce, I really took a look inside myself and really started to really chip away at why it was that I always felt I needed to be busy, why I always felt like I needed to be moving and doing something. And it was because I didn't want to sit with my own thoughts. I didn't want to acknowledge that voice inside my head. I didn't want to do the work to silence the negative thoughts. I didn't want to face those thoughts. And especially in my post-divorce season, like that, those thoughts of, I failed in my marriage, I'm not good enough, I gave up on my marriage, I'm never gonna be loved, I don't deserve to be loved by anybody. And so in sitting with those thoughts, it causes you to really think about yourself and think about what the future is going to hold. And the future can be scary, because you're planning on doing things that you think are bigger than you. But in all actuality, if you know that you're a child of God, nothing is too big for God. Give it all over to Him and do the work, and He will provide everything that you need. So with the new year, a lot of people are always like, oh, new year, new me. I stopped doing that a while ago, because it's no new you. It's the same you that you've always been. You're just walking a different journey. So for me, the New Year's are always almost like a reset for me to really look inner and really see, okay, take inventory. What did I actually do last year? What were my successes? What were my failures? What did I learn from my failures? Because failures are never truly a bad thing. Because failures happen for two reasons: for you to learn something, and for you to push a little harder for the next thing. So failure never happens because it's a no from God. It's, I have something better. This didn't happen for you because it's not aligned with your purpose that I have for you in your life. So you have to learn to look at failures as something, as motivators. And in the moment, trust me, in the moment, they are hard to accept, because you can think like, God, I prayed for this, and God, I've worked for this, and you said if I do the works and I pray that you will provide. Oh, He will. But you can't step in front of Him. Just because you wanted that promotion, just because you wanted that job, does not mean that that's in alignment with what He has as your purpose over your life. And you have to learn to accept them and kind of question later, okay, it didn't happen, but what is supposed to happen? And so for me, when I think about that, I kind of think about, I work in the retail industry, and so I wanted to get out of the field and into the corporate side. So I had applied for this one company, dream job, really great company, but it was in food, or it was in beverage, actually. And so I did the interviews, They went well. But at the end of the day, they said, you're transitioning from apparel to food and beverage. And we just don't think that those two align and that you would be able to be successful in this merchandising role with food and beverage when you've been working in apparel for so long. To say I was crushed is an understatement. Like, I was like, at first I was crushed because I didn't get the job. And then I got angry because I was like, how dare you tell me what I've always been the type of person, don't tell me what I can and can't do. Like, you're taking the role of God, and how dare you? But I thought, like, how dare you tell me? It's merchandising. Like, I know the foundation of the role and I know the foundation of the industry. Merchandising is merchandising. If you know the basics of it, you can translate that to any industry imaginable. So fast forward maybe 4 or 5 months after that, I interviewed for another job, but it's in operations with another food and beverage company. And would you know it, I got the job. So I looked at that first one as a failure and that, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to move around in this industry. I'm going to be stuck in this box. I'm going to be stuck in this one area and I won't be able to move around and kind of navigate and learn new things. For me, I don't like being stuck in one spot. I'm a learner. I like reading. I like learning new things. I love the History Channel. So I don't like being boxed in. And I felt terrible when I didn't get that first job because I felt like I was boxing myself in. I was doing the one thing that I did not want to do. And so when I got the second job with the new food and beverage company, I was like, that's when I learned that I can't get ahead of God. I cannot go ahead of his timing. It's not impossible for me to do merchandising for food and beverage, although my background is in apparel. But it was impossible for me to work with that first company because that was not in alignment with God's purpose. I've been with this company that I'm with now for almost over a year. And what I have learned, I'm pretty sure, 99.9% sure that I would not have learned it at that first company that I was so crushed about not getting the job with. So I say all that to say, when you go into this new year, new me thing, really do an inventory of what happened in that previous year. Do an inventory of what were your successes. What was I good at this year? What made me smile? And so in this year, I deemed this year the year of relationships. So every year I deem something different. My first year post-divorce was just survival. I need to get a routine. I need to get it down, and I need to make this new normal work for me. The following year, it was about finances. I need to figure out my finances, and I need to figure out how to make this work. I was a stay-at-home mom, and I broke cardinal rule number 1 that my mom always told me: always have your own. No matter how in love you are, no matter how much he provides for you and how much you think you're always going to be together, always have your own. My parents and my family and my friends helped me out. Yes, just not even just financially, just spiritually, emotionally. But at the end of the day, God did it. When you're ready to go, you got to be ready to go. And so I broke that cardinal rule of not having my own cushion. And that was, I honestly think that was the cushion that my ex held on to too, because he knew I didn't really have my own. He knew that I was just stuck. And like I said, if you remember, I don't like feeling stuck. I don't like feeling like I'm in a box and I don't have an ex. And not saying I went into a divorce, I went into a marriage, looking for an exit plan. To be honest, with my ex-husband, I never saw us getting divorced. I saw us having our wraparound porch playing with our grandchildren. Like, I never thought we would be where we are because I always believed that he would change. And I always believed that he would get in line and just do better. I said at the beginning of that last year in our marriage, I said, God, marriage is hard. I get it. And I know that. And I'm willing to put in the work because I love this man. But it can't be this hard. Like, I just, like, I was like, I know marriage is hard and I know it's something you have to work at. Anything worth having, you're going to have to work at it. But it can't be this hard. Like, this is like, what? And that last year I said, if this is where I'm supposed to be, if this is what's in alignment with the purpose that you have over my life, show me. I'm going to quiet my mind. I'm going to open my spirit, and I want you to just tell me what to do. And I will follow you wholeheartedly. I'll do the work. And so in that last year, we did a group marriage counseling. That was like the intro to it. Because after that, I then wanted to switch to like individual, like one-on-one counseling for us after this whole thing. But we didn't even make it out of the group one. Anyway, so my first step was doing this group marriage counseling. So with our church, and it was with, I believe, 5 or 6 other couples. And so we were going through this and and at the beginning of it, I told, maybe like the second week in it, I told him, I said, listen, this is going to be hard because I am going to allow myself to fully immerse myself in this. And I'm going to relive all the moments of infidelity that we've gone through. And I'm going to allow myself to feel those feelings from the infidelity, to feel that hurt, to feel that anger. And I want to heal from it. And I'm going to heal from it in this time that we are doing this couples counseling. And I said, I'm not going to be pleasant. I'm not going to be your favorite person. But if you just stick with me and work with me through this, I promise you I'm going to come out on the other side a much better person, a much better wife, and a much better mom. He sat on that bed, looked me dead in my face, and said, I'm willing to do whatever it takes as long as it takes. Cool. I'm a very transparent person. I don't like surprises, so therefore I don't want others to be surprised by any of my actions. So if I can prepare you for an action or something that may come up in the future, I'm going to try and do that with the best all I can do. So that's why I had that conversation with him, because I wanted him to know, if you see my attitude changing, if you see me being a witch, this is why. I'm not saying it makes it right, but I'm saying work with me through it, because I'm allowing myself to truly heal from this. And would y'all believe, how long was that marriage class? I think it was 13 weeks, I want to say it was 13 weeks. And it started in person, and then COVID happened. So like the first 5 or 6 weeks were in person, and then the remainder of it was online, which really put a damper in everything. But that's neither here nor there. But would y'all believe it, that in this 13-week time frame, or however long the time frame was, he had at least, let me count. Isn't it terrible that I have to count? One, I'm trying not to say names. So, at least 3 or 4 other women that he was entertaining, whether it was he was entertaining them when he was off on a business trip, air quotes, business trip, or the most blatant one when I had to go home for a funeral that he was supposed to go with me to. And I honestly cannot remember why he did not come. Like, why, like what happened, like if there was a fight or something. I don't remember it. And that's how insignificant, like, I'm like, he must have just created something to give him a reason not to go, but it wasn't a very valid reason because I cannot remember what it was. And while I went home, he was in Tennessee on a camping vacation with his ex-girlfriend that was the girlfriend before me. And that was my last straw. And it was in that moment, and that was the final, like, fourth one. I had gone through 2 or 3 before this happened. And it was like God was on like a megaphone in both my ears coming from both sides. And it was just one word: leave. That was it. That was my final straw. That next day, I reached out to an attorney and started the paperwork for serving him with divorce papers. God will. Now, mind you, before we went through this, the counseling, I had a conversation with God, and I said, God, show me. And throughout this counseling, he was showing me, like, blatantly, like, and it wasn't like I had to even look for these conversations or these text messages. Like, they would just come into my face. Like, they would just be right there. Like, you couldn't miss them. So God was putting it in front of my face and wasn't saying it, but he was showing me. And I just was like, for the past, 7-8 years that we were married, I just, no, it's all right. No, he'll do better. No, he won't do this again. And God is putting it in my face. And I think after that last incident, I think God just got so frustrated with me and was like, girl, clearly you're not paying attention to the signs. So let me just open up my mouth and say it. Leave. And there was a pastor in church that, she was talking about seeking God and seeking to stay and things like that. And she referred to, what was that? I can't even, it's like really, my mind has gone completely blank. But about seeking God, and that, in seeking God, you have to seek God, but you have to stand. In order to heal and work through your mess, you have to stand in it, and you have to be willing to stand in it and voice out to others when you need the help. So that therapy was my first step of standing and, airing my dirty laundry of our marriage, and airing about the infidelities, and airing about the hurt that I felt, and all these things. And it was in that moment where God spoke his loudest to me to leave. And I felt so bad because, yes, I felt like a failure. And yes, I felt like I was letting my children down by breaking up their home. But I mean, I was miserable, and I'm pretty sure I can say the same for him. Like, he had been miserable for much longer, I think, than I had been. But he stayed. I don't know why, but I do know why. He stayed because I allowed it. Why not have the best of both worlds, where you can go out in the streets and, talk to and sleep around with whoever you want to, and then have a wife at home that does everything, takes care of you have no true responsibilities. So I know why he stayed. But for me, I saw no one else. I saw nothing else. I didn't want anything else. I wanted my family, but he didn't want the same. He wanted a family, yes, but not with me. And so it was in that moment where I realized I got to go. I got to get out of this because I am losing me. Like, my personality is very optimistic. I always see the glass as half full, and I try to see the bright side of everything, because what's the point in you moping about a day that's going to go on? Just because you're mad about something in the day doesn't mean it stops. The sun is going to set and it's going to rise tomorrow. You're just wasting precious moments, precious minutes that you will never get back. So what is the point of being mad? Now, yes, I do get upset about things, but I don't sit in them. For what? Why am I giving some innate thing the glory of my joy? My joy is great. And you should be appreciative of experiencing my joy. So I'm not going to lose that for a stranger, or lose that over something that is not, that's something that's out of my control, in a sense. People think, because you filed for divorce, you didn't love that person, or you didn't care about the relationship. I think I loved that person more than I loved myself, and that's why I needed to divorce them. You should never love anything or anyone more than you love God. God is your light. God is love. You should never look to a spouse or a partner with the ideation that you would give to God, because they are not God, they are man. And God is a very jealous God. He does not want anything or anyone to come before him. So the moment I put my love for my ex-husband before my love for God, and even the love, I was doomed from that moment on, because God is a jealous God and he does not like that. And I care a lot about what people think. So I think for me, I had to get over that notion of people thinking I didn't care, or people thinking I didn't love my ex-husband, because I knew what I felt in my heart. And quite honestly, I don't care what other people think. Because at the end of the day, we all stand alone in judgment. And what you think about me has nothing to do with my judgment before God. Nothing. I loved my ex-husband. Like I said, I loved him more than I loved myself, probably, which is a place you should never be. I had to learn to just not care what others thought. Yes, I filed for divorce, but nobody knows the hell I went through behind those closed doors. And I can almost guarantee 99.9% all of y'all women that are listening would have left as well. If not, you would have left earlier than I did, probably. It's been a road. It's been a journey for me to learn how to navigate my feelings, how to navigate my emotions. And I want this podcast to serve as a place for me to talk about how I navigated this journey, and how I'm navigating my feelings and my emotions, in hopes that it will help you to learn how to navigate your feelings and your emotions. Don't ever feel like your feelings are not justified. Don't ever feel like your feelings don't matter. We are all entitled to feel the way we do about something, because we are all different. We are not the same person. We are all made in the image of God, but we are all unique in our own way. And that's what makes us so special to him. So we have to embrace that uniqueness, and we have to embrace being different. And so it's in learning, that my feelings do matter. It's okay if I don't like something that somebody else likes. Great, you like that, but I don't. So I'm entitled to feel that way, and I'm entitled to navigate around that and interact with whatever that is in the way that makes me feel comfortable. I'm very open to feedback. I mean, I work in retail. My job is all feedback. So I've learned just in my career, and I use it in my personal life, how to take constructive criticism and readjust and realign to where I can incorporate that criticism to make myself better. It's when the criticism is not constructive and the criticism is downright mean and hurtful that I don't put up with it. And I was at one point was a pushover of putting up with that type of criticism because I was a people pleaser. I want you to like me because everybody likes me. Oh my God, you don't like me? What? Like, everybody likes me. But now I really don't care. If I know I genuinely did nothing mean-spirited or hurtful to you, no, there's no reason for you not to like me. And I'm very open. If you tell me, Janae, I really, what you said about A, B, C, and D really kind of hurt me, and this is why. Oh my God. Like, I will bend over backwards to amend that and like rectify your feelings and hear you out about your feelings, because I know you're entitled to feel the way you feel. And if I ever say anything that offends anybody, my sincerest apologies, because I never want to offend you. I always want to come from a place of understanding, and I always want to come from a place of just being open. So those are the two premises of this podcast, I believe. Just a space of being understanding and a place of being heard. Because for so many years, I didn't feel like I was being heard. And that is one of the most hurtful things, I think, to feel. That, you're opening your heart, you're pouring out your feelings to somebody, and they just turn it around and make you feel like you're nothing. That's extremely hurtful. And I don't ever want to make anybody in my life that I love feel like that. So with this podcast, those would be my two premises: being understanding and being heard, as well as just being salt and light. In the Bible, it says, we are to be the salt of the world, and we are to, for him to be the light or lamp to our feet. So I feel like, so that's what I pretty much, walk around with a mantra in the back of my mind, and everything that I do is just reminding myself to be salt and light. When people see me, I want them to see a radiating love of Jesus and just see a person of peace. So that's who I am. I am a child of God that just wants to share my testimonies. I want to build a community of people that can share with one another their stories, their experiences, their ups, their downs, and share how they're navigating life, whether it be life after divorce, life after loss, life after college, just life in general, just life. I just want this to be a space that we could share with one another. And I hope that with each episode, we can grow and we can learn little gems along the way that helps us to be better, to do better, and then go out and teach others about being better. So that is all I got for you guys. Until next time, thank you for joining me. And please remember to just leave a comment with your questions or any little gems or scriptures that have helped you get through certain things, certain hard seasons, down below in the comment section of whatever platform you're listening to this on. And until next time, hope you all have a wonderful week. Bye.